While we're watching U.S. Open early round 2 coverage, we're also going to talk Eagles. We're also going to talk Phillies. We're going to talk a little Mike Trout today. We got Sports Illustrated, SI.com, Ed Kracz joining us at 8:30 today to talk Eagles OTAs. Guys, we got lots to go on. It's a Friday. Let's have some fun, guys. Training the AM, we're taking your thoughts and opinions on everything happening in the world live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. Please, wherever you're watching, please make sure you hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button on the STT Sports Network YouTube page, and please share this out, one and all, to everybody you see. And, of course, vote on today's poll question, which is, which Philadelphia Eagles free agent addition will have the biggest impact in 2025? Azeez, Ojulari, Joshua, Uche, Adoree Jackson, or Avery Williams. So make sure you get in the vote and the poll and like, share, subscribe. It's the free. These things are free to do. It don't cost you a thing to support this show. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, and we got lots going on today. First and foremost, live at 8:30 in about 25, 30 minutes. Ed Kratz, SI.com, will be joining us to give his insight on what he saw in Eagles OTAs this past week. You know, the last time we'll see the Eagles together until July 22nd when training camp opens. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk Phillies. They open a big 3-game series. After coming off beating the Cubs, they got the Toronto Blue Jays in town this weekend. A very important series for the Phillies to win. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk a little bit about Mike Trout. I hear the dial, as we like to call him, bringing up the same conversation that gets brought up every single year. Should the Phillies make a move for Mike Trout? And I'm here to tell you, can we just stop with the Mike Trout talk? Do we have to do the Mike Trout talk anymore? So we're going to talk about it. Supposedly, I'm wrong on it, because when I called them out for that comment, a lot of people told me that they want Mike Trout to be a part of the Philadelphia Phillies, and I just don't see it. So we're going to talk about that as well. But again, stay tuned. About 25 minutes time, Ed Kratz will be joining us, one of the best that covers the Eagles. Good morning, Adam. Hope you're well. Hope you're ready for the weekend. Good morning, little G. Yes, we better kick those Cowboys' butts. Absolutely. So let's dive into it with the Phillies a little bit. It's a big weekend, a big series kicking off tonight with Ranger Suarez going against Kevin Gausman for the Blue Jays. Ranger coming off a couple really good outings for the Phillies. You know, it's important that they build momentum, this Philadelphia Phillies team. Very important. So it's a big series. But when I see people, and I'm watching the U.S. Open, I got the 3 screens up on my thing. I got the Scotty Scheffler group up. I got the John Rahm group up on a screen. And I got the Brooks Koepka, group up on a screen here. I got 3 different screens going right now. So very exciting watching 3 different groups at the same time here. Not usually a split screen guy, but I love the U.S. Open split screen option here. I know it's smoke screen season, and it's never going to happen, but the thought process, pun intended, of a Dylan Harper and Maxey backcourt is so much fun. It's crazy. A lot of Sixers rumors floating around Dodge yesterday, obviously. Trading up, trading back, etc. with that 3rd pick. And a lot of talk yesterday about them moving up 2 spots, or 1 spot to the number 2 spot, to get Dylan Harper. And, yeah, I don't know enough about Dylan Harper. I didn't think trading up was in the conversation. I assumed Harper would go 2, not to the Sixers. So I haven't done my research on Harper. And maybe I should. But I can't say that I love the idea. Moving assets to move up to me with this team is just not ideal in my opinion. If anything, you're moving assets to move back to get off of contracts or bring in more big contracts. those things seem more likely. Trading up for a young player is just not Daryl Morey's MO, in my opinion. So I really don't believe that much at all. Who's winning the Open? I mean, you still got to think Scotty Scheffler. I know he made birdie on 2. He's in some trouble here on 3. Might give that shot back. J.J. Spawn will not win the U.S. Open, Adam. I can pretty much guarantee that. We can't make a prediction on the U.S. Open till the end of today. We got to wait and see what's going on today. Today is going to be carnage beyond belief at Oakmont. Good morning, Duck. How you doing? Guys, make sure you're hitting that like button, that share and subscribe button, and voting on the poll. At what point does Kennard Avery enter the conversation? I don't know. What point does he? I think Justin Crawford, Blanche says, gets a call up soon. Yeah, I mean, there's 2 things. Nooms has said there's some personal issues. Obviously, he's also got a quad issue. If he's healthy, as soon as he's healthy, he should be getting the call up. I don't think there's any argument to be made that there is not a reason that he gets called up pretty damn soon, as long as he gets healthy. Good morning, Stephen Fuentes. Yes, cut line, +6. Yeah, I mean, the day it started at +3. It's already in less than an hour moved to +4. I think +6, even +7 is in play as the cut line, which is crazy. There's a guy, and I don't even have it up, Will Chandler, I think it was. First 3 holes today, shot +8. Double bogey, quad bogey on his first 3 holes today. That is what Oakmont is going to play like today. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be carnage, and I'm all for it, and I'll have it on TV at the pizza shop all day today. Because why wouldn't we want to watch all this carnage? It's going to be the U.S. Open today. It's going to be a blast today. If we want to talk Phillies, I want to talk Mike Trout. And I want to know what the fascination all Phillies fans talk about is we got all these guys in their 30s on long contracts that are going to be ugly contracts down the line, or maybe already are ugly contracts. And every Philadelphia Phillies fan that I spoke to yesterday thinks I'm an idiot for not wanting to bring in Mike Trout. Who cares about the money or the contract? He's exactly what they need. So the Philadelphia Phillies need an injury-prone player that's got a huge contract that's already horrendous, that is nowhere near is a shell of his former self. But it's because they named Mike Trout, and he's a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan. He's not even local to Philly, but he's an Eagles fan. He's at all the home games. So we got to like him. We got to want him here. Making a big trade, trading one of your top prospects for Mike Trout, that's not just a fireable offense for Dave Dombrowski. That's ruin your legacy situation right there. I had a nightmare last time Justin Crawford became Ben Revere. Oh, my God. I actually thought Ben Revere was a nice little kid. I thought he had a little potential, but the guy couldn't do anything. It turned out, Nooms. Like, there was really not. It's just, yeah, he was bad. Mike Trout can't stay healthy for more than 20 games a year. Mike Trout, at this point, he's missed over 20 games this year. He played 29 games last year, 82 the year before that, 119 the year before that, 36 the year before that. It's pathetic. He's at 223. He's got a 759 OPS. He does have 10 home runs. So he'd instantly be the second highest home run hitter on this team. I get that. But Mike Trout is not, as Duck says, it's not 10 years ago. He's got, after this year, 5 more years on his contract at over $37 million a year. I think that would be the highest paid player on our team. So, 5 more years of another old player. But yet, Phillies fans everywhere have been fascinated with Mike Trout for so long because he's an Eagles fan. But he's blatantly said he wasn't ever a Phillies fan. I think he was a Yankees fan when he was growing up. So what's the fascination with him? We don't need another old player on a major contract. If you're going to give somebody $30-some million a year, just give Kyle Schwarber the extension right now. You're not going to give him a 6-year contract, which is basically what you're getting. You're basically getting Mike Trout for 5.5 years at like $220 million. Just give a Schwarber a 4-year, $120 million contract now. I'd rather them do that. Why did he sign with the Angels? They're never going to win. I mean, he has been there for a while. I mean, since 2011. This current contract extension started in 2022? No, 2021. 2021. So there was still some potential there. I get it. He's one of the best players of all time. Heck, he's one of those guys you could say, like when you talk about Tracy McGrady in the NBA or Penny Hardaway, what if he never got hurt? What if he stayed healthy? He could have gone down as the greatest player of all time. But he didn't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy. So why would we want him here? Violent swings can take their toll, yet Trout's swing was pretty short. The rib is a big red light for me. Look, just the games played, the contract, and the age. I don't care about the money. It's not my money. But Noobs, we've all agreed. Rob Thompson or John Middleton is not the open vault that he used to be. You go out and trade for Mike Trout, you can sure as shit kiss Kyle Schwarber away. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. But yet, Phillies fans are fascinated with it. And I think that is weirder to me than anything else. Brooks Koepka, another birdie, up to 2 under. Who thought that was going to happen? Wow. I don't get the fascination with Mike Trout. I just don't. It's kind of extremely confusing to me. I really, really, really find that weird. Like, okay, you want to have fascination with getting an MVP candidate? Well, that was 10 years ago. And I know he was, what was it, in 22? He was in the top 10 of MVP voting. But still, you can't even count his All-Star games. Like, he made an All-Star game in 23, played 82 games. He made an All-Star game in 21, he played 36 games. You can't count all of his All-Star games because a lot of Mike Trout's All-Star appearances are name and reputation. Brooks Koepka, man. I've talked since the Masters and the PGA Championship. Is Brooks Koepka done competing in majors? Because it's been like 2 years since he's had even a remotely good finish in a major. Brooks Koepka yesterday, he's already 2 under today. Brooks Koepka's charging. I got his featured group up on my screen over here. Couldn't remember my Peacock login. And I guess the early round coverage on Peacock. So I got the U.S. Open app, 3-screen split up on my screen right now. His group being one of the feature ones. I just think the Phillies fans need to understand Brooks Koepka. How do I say this? Or not Brooks Koepka, I'm thinking golf. Mike Trout. Everything you complain about what's wrong with this Phillies team, but then you want Mike Trout, is completely contradictory. And it's kind of crazy to me. All right. Eagles poll question. There's only 7 votes on the poll, guys. There's a dozen of you watching on YouTube. Please vote on the poll. Which Eagles free agent addition will have the biggest impact in 2025? Azeez Ojulari, Josh Uche, Adoree Jackson, and Avery Williams. And I asked this question, and we'll ask about Ed Kracz when he joins us in about 15, 20 minutes here. I asked this question because a lot of us expect a lot out of Ojulari. We expect him to get healthy, be healthy, and be an impact player at the edge position. But Lane Johnson was hyping up Josh Uche, not Ojulari, after the mandatory minicamp on Tuesday. Talking about what he looked like out there. I think he used the word elite or stud or something like that. So I think, right now, early votes, there's 8 votes. 3 to both Ojulari and Jackson, only 1 for Uche and Avery Williams. Avery Williams is an interesting one, too, to me. Because Avery Williams is a return specialist, which is something we've needed for a while. It's the fact that you have all these Texas, Florida, California, Georgia, and Arizona-born players dominating the best youth ball. It's just a big deal to know you can still generate that talent from the Northeast. It's fine, but that's not who he is anymore. It's just not who Mike Trout is. Good morning, Eric. What's happening, my man? Good to see you this morning. We got lots to talk about today. Why isn't TMJ on your list? Who? I normally will answer the poll, but I don't think any of them will have a major impact. Ojulari won't be a huge impact just because we have starters for all those positions. Well, who will have the? It's not who will have the biggest impact of those four. Right now, we're up to 8 votes, and we're up to 50%, 4 votes for Adoree Jackson. That tells me some people are not very confident in Keely Ringo. The very, very early voting on this poll. What will happen first, the Apocalypse or Flyers Championship? I don't know. Right now, the Flyers Championship is winning Adam's poll. I don't have the results up. Give me a second. I will find these. I'll find yesterday's poll question that I put out there. Hold on. Let me find it. I didn't tweet that much yesterday, so I can find it quickly. Page. Oh, Antonio Brown. We got to talk about that. Who will win a championship first? The Flyers, the Sixers, the Cowboys, or never for all 3 teams? The Flyers are leading this poll 48%. None of the 3 will ever win a championship is 36%. 11% say the Sixers. 3% say the Dallas Cowboys. Terrence Marshall Jr. Oh, duh. Forgot about him. Terrence Marshall Jr. probably won't even make the team. So I'm not really worried about that one right there. Free agent. Well, Terrence Marshall Jr. was a free agent. Or did we trade for him? I don't know. Trout is a symbol for some baseball fans. It's a cult. Okay, so explain. What does that symbol mean? Is it just what you say about the Northeast talent? Like, I don't understand that. I really don't understand that. There's a cult, though, of Philly. Like, I really think Phillies fans truly, not because of his skill set or diminishing skill set or anything like that, I really believe Phillies fans want Mike Trout in red pinstripes solely because he's an Eagles fan. One of the most famous Eagles fans. I don't even think Mike Trout wants to play for the Phillies because Mike Trout likes playing in L.A. because then he gets the NFL season off because, the Angels never make the playoffs. And he could be at home games starting in October versus coming to Philly and having to make the playoffs. He might miss another home game or 2. 13 likes on the board so far, not bad. Guys, if you're watching, hit that like button, share button, subscribe button. We're at 536 subscribers today. Can we get to 537? 537 going once, 538, 538. Got 539 over there, 540, 541. Let's go. Hit those buttons, guys, and vote on the poll. 13 likes, but 8 votes on the poll. Go over Eagles primetime games again. I don't have the schedule handy right now. Cannot do that. We'll do some more schedule breakdown over the next month because obviously, after today, when we talked to Ed Kracz about what the going-ons were at Eagles OTAs, we got nothing football happening, basically, for the next month. We're a month away from training. July 22nd, first practice, July 23rd. Brooks Koepka just made another birdie to get the 3 under. 1 off of J.J. Spawn. We got a Brooksy sighting out at Oakmont. Damn. My friend Chip coached Trout on his Holy City Hornets 12 under team. He is so much of a Yankees fan, it would make everyone but Trinidad sick. Yeah. That's what people think. Oh, because he's an Eagles fan, he's a Phillies fan. No, he's a Yankees fan. Like, come on now. Just because he's an Eagles fan does not mean you bring him in. No, I did not. I'm still thinking about when I'm going to do that top 5 quarterback ranking list. And Willie makes a birdie. It's at the +6. I'm not sure when I'm going to release the top 5. Maybe next week, maybe the following week. Maybe I'll do it live from the beach because I'll be heading down to the beach on June 29th for a week. Bringing all my equipment to do some beach shows. They might not all be morning shows. I might want to sleep in some days. But maybe we'll do a top 5 show from the beach. Think about that. Then a few other teams try and call in for a stadium takeover in Philly. That will never happen. People always try to do that. Thank you, Adam. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you so much, Adam. You are the best. Muchas gracias. Adam just wants to get kick started because he wants a live U.S. Open show on Sunday. The Mike Trout stuff just doesn't make sense to me. Not at all. Brooks Koepka being 3 under makes more sense, and that I didn't see coming. Not even remotely. Being 5-6 strokes ahead of Scottie Scheffler. Did not see that coming. Man. Yes, thanks, Adam. Adam is the man. I appreciate him. Muchas gracias. I just don't get it. Now, to Duck's comment on these free agent additions and who will have the biggest impact, and him saying he doesn't think any of these additions will have an impact. I think first and foremost, I think Ojulari will be at a minimum a 30-35% snap guy if he stays healthy. So he could have a Vinny Curry type impact. Avery Williams being your kick and punt returner. Not having to have Cooper DeJean in there or Britton Covey back there. They're constantly trying to change the rules. The rules have been changed, I forget now, to have an impact to kind of create more kick returns. Having Avery Williams back there will do that. Be curious to see if they use Avery Williams in any offensive sets as well. What is Justin Thomas doing? Just putt 7 on this hole? Lipping out 3-footers left and right here for Justin Thomas. What the hell was that? I got to see what the score ended up being here. 7 on hole 12. That's bad, Justin Thomas. +3 over his last 2 holes. Phil, touch on trending hockey. I don't know what's trending in hockey. I have no clue what's going on in the hockey world. I have no idea what's going on with the Stanley Cup. I've at least watched some NBA finals. I've watched 0 Stanley Cup. 0 Stanley Cup at this point. So I got no idea what's going on with the Stanley Cup. None whatsoever. A 3-putt from Justin Thomas. Good job, buddy. Good job. So anyway, Ojulari, I could see having an impact because I feel like he will get enough opportunities. Josh Uche, while Lane Johnson hyped him up, I still am not sure. He fits that Bryce Huff mold of a guy that was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. Dory Jackson, leading this poll so far, tells me people are not confident in Keely Ringo. Now, it's a very early in the poll voting. Avery Williams, I really would like to see Avery Williams, what he is capable of doing and what he might end up doing this year. When was the last time the Philadelphia Eagles actually had a real legit threat at the kick return position? Somebody that can really go back there and put pressure on an opposing team's special teams. When was the last time we had that? I think it's been a while. So it's very important to see what he can bring to the table as well. Dustin Johnson made a birdie, then stuck on the par 3 within 3 feet. A chance to go back-to-back birdies for Dustin Johnson. Shot 5 over yesterday. He's at 5 over today, about to go to 4 over. Who would have thought? Brooks Koepka, and now Dustin Johnson making a move at the U.S. Open. I didn't think it. Didn't think that was even remotely possible. Not at all. We're still sitting at 13 likes, guys, so please hit that like button, drop your comments. We'll be joined by Ed Kracz here shortly in about 4 or 5 minutes, so you don't want to miss that. Who was that just put? Was that Justin Thomas into the bunker? Following up it was Minwoo Lee. And be ready. Be ready for Ed Kracz with your comments and your questions. We're up to 10 votes now. Josh Uche got another vote, which you love to see. What the hell happened there? Oh, I saw something flash on my screen. Justin Thomas, how does he follow up his 3-putt on the par 5? Oh, we're watching other stuff. We're talking Eagles and we're talking Phillies. Yes, I am watching golf because I'm a golf degenerate and I love my U.S. Open. I love seeing Justin Thomas 3-putt from 3 feet. To me, that's exciting. All right, he got it on the green. Sproles was probably one of our best kick returners. Who can forget it? Oh, well, Vi Sikahema, Brian Mitchell, his brief run in Philly. But I guess Darren Sproles was our last true kick return. And he actually had a pretty big impact on the offense as well. But Vi Sikahema getting the kick return, box in the bag in the end zone, the padding there. Of course, I was a Vi guy. Loved Vi Sikahema. He was a really good announcer on NBC 10 as well. But the days of prioritizing kick returning and punt returning kind of went away because of rule changes. But they're making an effort to make the kick return fun again. Because, we talk about player safety, but let's make the most dangerous play more entertaining. We'll try to eliminate the tush push. Let's throw that out there as well. Guys, let's talk about it again. I'm putting together all the details right now. Stay tuned to this channel. I will have a pre-recorded video out. How can you win this Cooper DeJean and Darius Slay autographed football? How can you do it? Stay tuned this weekend. There'll be a live video. And I'm partnering with Jim, my realtor. He's got an autographed A.J. Brown picture that he's going to add to the raffle. We're going to be selling raffle tickets this week. Well, for 2 weeks. And I'm going to pick raffle winners to win my football and to win this autographed A.J. Brown picture. I'm going to raise money for Eagles autism. Maybe 2 footballs. Maybe I'll throw a second, charity into the equation too. So yeah. Brooksy, man. K1. Man. On a roll this morning. The new rules make kick returners more important. Exactly. And we've got Avery Williams. So maybe he's the guy. Only 1 of the 10 votes so far picked Avery Williams. Maybe he makes a big impact. Does getting 2 kick returns for a touchdown this year mean he had the biggest impact? Maybe. I forget the details of what the new rules are. Stop getting oils on my football. Yeah. UFL Championship, 8 p.m. Sunday. You want to do a live UFL Championship watch party? I'll be one of the only 4 people in the entire country watching it. I probably won't be watching because I'll be watching golf all day long. I'm not going to do a live show for the UFL Championship. I know nothing about the UFL. Don't care about the UFL, but maybe it'll be fun. All right, guys, please hit that like button, that share button, the subscribe button. Vote on the poll. Joining me now on the I Have No Sponsor hotline, the one, the only from SI.com, Ed Kracz. Good morning, Ed. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Phil. How you doing?
Oh, it's a beautiful morning. I got the U.S. Open on one screen. We're talking Eagles. We're talking football. The U.S. Open, to me, I'm not sure if you're a golf fan, but that's like the unofficial start to summer for me. You know what I mean? When the U.S. Open hits, then I know it's summertime.
Yeah, you're right. And it's Father's Day weekend usually, too, when the U.S. Open's happening. But, yeah, I like all the majors. The Masters was great. Watch the Masters. And now I think we're in for a real treat here. Oakmont is a tough track. I covered the U.S. Open when it was in Oakmont. I'm dating myself here, but it was back when Ernie Els won in a playoff against Colin Montgomery and Lauren Roberts. So you can do the math there.
I haven't heard Monty's name in a little while there. I wonder what he's doing with himself these days. Hey, he was a fun golfer for us older golf fans that were watching back in the day. A very colorful personality, we'll just say.
Yeah. He always looked like a grouchy guy when he was out there walking on the course. But I talked to him a little bit in that tournament. And he was a good guy. Yeah. But yeah, that's a tough track. Oakmont, really difficult track.
Absolutely, it's going to be carnage. I love the U.S. Open because I like to see. I just saw a golfer this morning before I went live. Have a quad on a par 4, and that just makes me feel better about myself. That's why I like the U.S. Open. I just watched Justin Thomas 3-putt from 3 feet. So that's what you get here.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get on the Eagles. The final OTAs just wrapped up this week. We won't see the team together for about 4 weeks, July 22nd, when camp kicks off. First and just foremost, a very general question. What was when you walked away from Tuesday's practice, everybody was together, what was the first thing that crossed your mind as you were leaving the facility, headed home, start to write your articles and whatnot? What was the first thing that hit you?
Yeah, the first thing that hit me was Jalen Hurts. I mean, I thought
Right.
Jalen Hurts had a really, really good spring, and in my mind, I'm comparing it to last year when we saw him, and he really struggled last spring. I thought, he said 95% of the offense last year was new. Kellen Moore, of course, was coming in, and he looked bad, and that was a big storyline for me going into the summer last year. Was is Hurts going to come back in training camp and have this thing figured out? After spending a few weeks away from everything. And, he sure answered that. I mean, we saw where he ended up at the end of the year, Super Bowl MVP. But that to me was my biggest takeaway was how good he looked. And, he's familiar with what Kevin Patullo is as a person because he's been around him for the last 4 years now. And he's familiar with the parts of the offense that Kevin Patullo is going to stick, keep around. So I thought Jalen Hurts to me was my biggest thought when I left the field was, man, Hurts looked pretty good.
You're not the first person I've heard say that
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts just looks different in these practices this offseason. Is it just the familiarity with Kevin Patullo, or is it also maybe that win in the Super Bowl and that MVP was kind of like a validation of his process? So now he's confident in his offseason process.
Yeah, I wish he would come out and say that, Phil. I really do.
Yeah.
You could ask Jalen that, and he's not going to admit to that. But yeah, I think that's part of it. I think another part of it is he's just more mature. He's 26 years old now. He's not the same, 21-year-old kid that came in here back in 2020. He's been through a couple different offensive coordinators, and he did touch on that. He said, the more that I have, different coordinators, the better I feel adjusting to whatever they're bringing in here. So I think he's just maturing. I think that's a big part of it. As he's getting older here, he's kind of settling down a little bit in his thought process. He's married now. So, yeah, I think he is a little bit of a different person, but I think that's why. I think it's just that maturity aspect.
I kind of feel like it's kind of like an unknown, like we've never been in this position. Even after the 2017 Super Bowl, I didn't feel the way I do right now. Because of that victory, there's validation for Jalen Hurts, for Nick Sirianni. There's no drama or question marks. Like, yeah, there's positional battles and, rookie questions and stuff like that. But this team has been validated, and I feel like there's no questions. Can this team actually do it? Because they've done it.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned the 2017 Super Bowl. The drama that year was, is Carson Wentz going to be the starting quarterback or Nick Foles? We don't have that here. Jalen Hurts, of course, was the first Eagles quarterback to start into Super Bowls. No quarterback had ever done that for them. So, yeah, I think there is a validation. I think this team believes in itself. I think this team is still hungry. I think they still want to prove something. They talked a lot about that 2022 season when they went to the Super Bowl and lost by 3 points and how that really angered them. They thought they had that game kind of taken away from them late. They weren't given a chance to drive down the field and possibly tie it or win it or lose it, but they didn't have that chance. And I think that kind of drove them quite a bit this year. And I still think, as weird as it is, I still think there's that chip on their shoulder. It's like, man, we should have had 2 Super Bowls at this point in the last 3 years. So, I think that, when Howie came out of that 2017 Super Bowl, he kind of ran it back with a lot of the elderly guys. A lot of old guys came back. He brought in Haloti Ngata. He brought in some really older veterans. This is a young team. He really changed over that defense. He kind of had to because people left. And I think he brought in some guys that are going to be just as hungry to win a Super Bowl, like Adoree Jackson and Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari. So, yeah, I think that, this team is still going to have some hunger to it coming into the season.
You bring up Uche. The poll question on our YouTube page today is which of the 4 main free agents, will have the biggest impact. I've got Ojulari, Adoree Jackson, Avery Williams, and Uche on there. And I've made this the poll question of the day because I was listening to Lane Johnson talk the other day after practice, and one of the names he mentioned was Uche, not Ojulari, who a lot of Eagles fans are very high on this, Ojulari addition, including me. But when Lane Johnson brings up Uche's name, a guy like, Bryce Huff, who was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl, it kind of made, well, maybe I'm looking in the wrong direction. Maybe this guy will actually have an impact this year.
Yeah, those 4 names you mentioned, I mean, Avery Williams wasn't healthy all spring, and I don't know what the issue is with him. I thought he could come in and make an impact, especially, on special teams, but we'll see. I mean, hopefully he's healthy coming into training camp, but he didn't do anything this spring. That doesn't mean he won't be a factor. But, Ojulari and Uche, because of where they play, I mean, it's hard to really evaluate guys in spring when they play on the offensive or defensive line, because so many of the drills are geared towards 7-on-7, while the offensive linemen are over on one side of the field getting yelled at by Jeff Stoutland, and the defensive line's over in another part of the field getting coached up by Clint Hurt. So it's not really easy to tell. Uche, to me, he's a little undersized, I thought. I've seen him up close. He's not really a big guy. And I saw him kind of drop a couple times, him and Ojulari drop into space, and they didn't look real comfortable. And, Vic Fangio wants them, obviously, to be able to drop and cover a quarter of the field at times. But again, it's a very small sample, tough to evaluate. And then when Lane made those comments about Uche, I was kind of surprised. And, wow, he talked him up. And that was kind of unsolicited. He really didn't be asked about Uche, specifically. And then Zach Bond talked about Uche too, and how, Uche's been talking to Bond. Bond's a 1-year contract success story. Nick Sirianni kind of held him up as an example in the room, saying, look what you can do on this 1-year deal. You can prove yourself. We're going to give you every opportunity to show what you can do, and you're going to get another deal, whether it's here or somewhere else. But Zach Bond did it. He's living proof. And Bond said Uche has really kind of attached himself to Bond to kind of hear more of his story and how he was able to do that. So, yeah, my perception of Uche really rose on that last day of minicamp, but just based on what other players were saying about him.
Another guy that got talked about a lot after practice, and Adam asked the question, which player looked the best on defense in the OTAs? Obviously, after Tuesday, you also heard a lot about Jalix Hunt. And Jalix Hunt was a guy that came in last year out of the draft, and it was a project. But he really had a lot of success late in the season in the playoffs last year. And then you hear stories of Jordan Mailata being frustrated by him massively in Tuesday's practice. Is Jalix Hunt the guy that looks the most improved or the best on defense, or is someone else that's standing out? Adam wants to know.
Yeah, I went out in a story I wrote, my overreactions off of the final day, and I said I think Jalix Hunt's going to have a double-digit sack year. I really think he's going to, if he's not at 10, I think he's going to be pushing that envelope. Josh Sweat led this team in sacks last year with, I think, 8 or 8.5. I think, Hunt can do that. He looks bigger. And then, of course, one of the players afterwards said that he is stronger and bigger. He looked more confident. He brings the energy that Brandon Graham, BG, would bring. Jalix Hunt's that kind of guy. He's very energetic. He's very enthusiastic. He looked more confident. I think this kid is going to have a breakout season. If you ask me one player who you think would have a breakout season, I would probably say Jalix Hunt would be that guy. So,
you were talking about earlier with Jalen Hurts about how different he looks, in OTAs because of, the continuity, the consistency with the system, and, the validation. Would Jalix Hunt also fit in that category? Does he look and act differently on this defense as well? Or is there somebody else that on the defense fits that Jalen Hurts kind of theory on defense?
Well, Hunt, I think, certainly belongs in that category. I'll tell you who else I was impressed with, especially on that last day, was Keely Ringo. I thought Ringo really had a nice day. It might have been, maybe his best practice as an Eagle, to be honest with you. He was getting first-team reps. He was in good position. He made a really nice one-on-one pass breakup in the end zone during red zone drills. I think Keely Ringo could be poised to take that next step, into a starter's role. Vic Fangio talked about wanting him to be consistent over 17 games. It can't be, up and down, up and down. He's got to level out with his consistency. But, man, I thought he had a really good mini camp that one day. And I saw him make some other plays during OTA. So, he looks a little different. It's hard to tell with Keely. He's such a low-key, laid-back guy. He's not like your big, energetic type of guy like I think Jalix Hunt can be. But I think Keely Ringo took a big step forward, too, this spring.
I think people forget how young Keely Ringo really is. I know he's entering his 3rd year, but he's just a baby out there. So I think people got to give him time and be patient with him.
Well, it's interesting because he came out of Georgia. I think he was 20 years old, and he was asked about that when we had him during the spring. And do you wish you would have stayed in college? Because he probably would have been, maybe I don't know about a first, but he could have been at least a day 2 pick in the draft. As it was, he went in the 4th round, but he was asked about it. And he said he doesn't have regrets. He thinks that he came in, he learned from some of the best players. He got adjusted to the NFL game. He admitted it's a more physical, faster game, even than the SEC. He learned from guys like Darius Slay and James Bradbury, and Avonte Maddox. So he got on the job NFL training. And now I think here he is at 22 or 23. I think, they're ready to take the wraps off and see what they got here, because he was so young. I mean, think about that, 20 years old. That's insane when you think about
what were you doing at 20 years old? You weren't playing in the NFL, were you?
No, I know. I was probably playing in some bar someplace, during college. But, that was a very long time ago, Phil. But, yeah, you're right. You think about when they were 20 years old, what they were doing. They weren't certainly, going through NFL training camps.
Absolutely. Obviously, a big question this offseason is the status of Jihad Campbell. And I think people don't talk about Nolan Smith recovering from his injury as well. Obviously, we see Vic Fangio saying one thing mid-August, Nick Sirianni saying no timetable, but we did see Campbell just like running around doing some individualized drills on Tuesday. What's your feeling on when we'll see Jihad Campbell back? Nakobe Dean, I don't really expect to see anytime soon. And Nolan Smith, how are they all in their recovery process, and when we'll see them, actually practicing in full on the field?
Yeah, you mentioned Nolan Smith. I think that kid's as tough as they come. I mean, he played most of the Super Bowl with a torn tricep. He admitted it had happened in the second quarter, and yet he continued to play. But he talked about a fumble that I think Milton Williams forced late in that game. You remember that? He couldn't bend down and pick up the ball between his legs because his arm was just kind of hanging on. So he kind of kicked it to Milton and said, he was Milt. But listen, I think he'll be ready to go probably before the Eagles would like him to be ready to go, because Nolan Smith's so tough and he wants to be out there. And he means an awful lot to the team this year, obviously, on the edge. But, yeah, I think that who else were you mentioning?
Jihad Campbell is obviously the most
important. Right, Jihad Campbell.
Well, everybody says that Trot Jr. looks good and he's getting a lot of the runs with the ones, but I really feel like Jihad Campbell, that's a big part of this defense, or a big expectation to be a part of this defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knows? I mean, Nick Sirianni doesn't put timetables on injured players. Vic Fangio talked about Jihad Campbell and said he probably won't be back until August. Of course, August has 30 days or 31 days. He didn't specify when in August he would return, but you kind of equate him to maybe Cooper DeJean a little bit. DeJean missed most of training camp last year with a hamstring injury. And when he came back, they brought him back slowly. They didn't throw him into the fire of his first NFL start until after the bye week. So we could see a situation with Jihad Campbell similar to what we saw with Cooper DeJean, depending again on when he comes back. If he's ready to go August 1st, I don't think he will. I mean, that injury, the surgery he had on his shoulder, usually takes a little longer, maybe 6 months to heal. But if he comes back August 1st, then I would say, yeah, he'll have a role early. Maybe even the opener against the Cowboys, but I don't think it'll be that early. So you're going to have to lean on Trotter and Bond probably, and maybe even the rookie Smail Mondon, who was getting first-team reps with Trotter on Tuesday. Zach Bond was there, but he didn't do anything because he said he had general soreness. But Campbell, I think when he's ready to go, he's going to be a factor. He's a big kid. He's a smart kid. He's an instinctive kid. And, I think he's going to play a role, but I think it's going to be probably, maybe in October. As far as Nakobe Dean goes, he was out there as well. Didn't have any brace on his knee, but that's a patellar tendon injury that can be tough to come back from. I don't expect him to answer the bell right away either. You hope maybe he can come back by October. I talked to him after the Super Bowl in New Orleans after they won, and, he didn't have any walking device. He was walking on his own. He had a brace on his knee, but he said, it's a process, but he goes, I'm going to come back better than I was before. He firmly believes that. So, I think he will. When? I don't know. His contract's an issue. This is his last year. He's probably going to want to come back to show that he's healthy and he can do what he did last year. But it's going to be, I think we're going to have to be patient with him, and to a lesser extent, maybe Jihad Campbell.
I kind of feel bad for Nakobe Dean because he was playing so great last year. This is that contract year, and I almost hope he doesn't push it just because of the contract situation. which could make the injury worse or re-injure or whatnot.
Yeah.
I think an underrated storyline is not just the loss of talent on the defense and how it's been replaced, but the loss of leadership on the defense. Brandon Graham, Darius Slay, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to an extent was a leader, an emotional leader on the field. We all expect Jalen Carter to step up in a leadership role at some point. He talked about it last year, how he wants to grow to be that leader. Is Jalen Carter going to be the leader of this defense? I think Zach Bond takes over one of those roles. Who are the 2 or 3 guys that are going to step up to be those leaders on this defense?
Yeah, Jalen Carter's a pretty soft-spoken. He's a pretty shy kid, if you ask me. I mean, I think, that's kind of why maybe he, fans are, I don't know, maybe he gets a bad rap. I think he's a really nice person. I think he's just a shy guy. He's not a big fan of the TV cameras when they come around. He'll talk to you, kind of one-on-one or away from the cameras. And, my sense is he's a little shy, a little soft-spoken. But, yeah, I think he can be a leader just based on the type of player he is. You just watch Jalen Carter play, and he's on a whole nother level. And he's, on the brink of greatness, if you ask me, if he's not there already. But I think Jordan Davis, I think he could be a leader. The Eagles picked up his team option for the 2026 season. He spoke about it. He said, I'm like the ripe old veteran now in the room, and he's 25 years old. It's crazy how young this defense is, to be honest. So, yeah, Bond's going to have to step up for sure. Maybe Cooper DeJean. I know it's only his second year. Maybe he kind of rises up and takes on a leadership role. Nolan Smith. I mean, they have guys out there that can do it. But again, it's going to come down to performance. You're going to have to back that up with how you play on the field. And, I'm big on Jordan Davis. There's another guy I think could have a breakout season. I think they're trying to teach him how to pass rush. He looks slimmer. He actually does look slimmer this year. I wasn't so sure last year when he was talking about the conditioning, if he did look that much thinner. This year he does. So I think Davis is going to be a big part of this team, and especially in the leadership role.
I forget which article you wrote, but one of the articles, maybe it was one of your crystal ball articles, you talked about Reed Blankenship and his contract extension. Yeah. I think you thought it was coming eventually. When we talk leaders, I kind of felt like Reed would be one of those leaders. But isn't it kind of hard to be a leader when you're on a 1 year? It's not a prove it deal, but I mean, it's a cheap 1 year contract that he's basically playing on. How come he hasn't gotten that extension that you thought was going to happen by now? I thought was going to happen by now. Do the Eagles just not value him long term?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a trickier situation. He came in as an undrafted free agent. What exactly is his value to the team? I mean, I think he's going to have to maybe prove that during the season. I still think he could get extended at some point this summer. The Eagles have some salary cap room. And Reed talked about being a leader. He's another one. When you mention leaders, he's the leader probably of that back end. Again, it's a young back end of that room. It's DeJean, who's 21, and Quinyon Mitchell, who's 23, and Sidney Brown is 23, and Drew Makuba's a rookie. I mean, it's a young safety group, and that's why I thought, well, maybe Justin Simmons could come in and provide some veteran leadership, a guy you can talk to about different situations on and off the field. But right now the Eagles feel like they're okay there. And I still think Reed will get done. I really do. But it's interesting. I don't know how they feel about Sidney Brown. He came before Vic Fangio was here. And I'm not sure he's earned Fangio's trust quite yet. He had struggled with injury last year. But then you have Makuba, who I think they want to be the starting safety opposite Reed Blankenship. But, again, Reed to me is a guy that fits the bill of what the Eagles want to extend. Young guy, 25 years old. I think they're going to give him a contract at some point during this summer or right before the opener. We've seen Howie give away some extensions a couple years ago to some players, on the eve of the first game. So, Reed could be in that situation, but I still believe he's going to get a contract before the year starts.
You mentioned Howie and getting things done. I mean, and Duck asked earlier about the Bengals and what they're doing. A, the rookie contract, B, Trey Hendrickson. You got the Packers cutting Jair Alexander. I know Andrew Makuba hasn't had his contract signed yet. I know there's a lot of issues with second round, picks not signing right now. But in general, all these things you just said and these questions about the Bengals and other teams, it does make you appreciate Howie Roseman a little bit more and how calculated and how he's got a plan, not just for this year, next year, 5 years from now, he's already planning. and watching how things unfold around the league, it really makes you appreciate what he does.
Yeah, and listen, he loves what he does. He loves being in the Eagles organization. He says he doesn't go to bed at night. There's never a night before he falls asleep where he's not thinking about what he can do to help this team get better. So yeah, he's always got a plan. He's always looking 3 to 5 years down the road. That's why you see him draft guys like Campbell, even though they're not healthy. He's playing the long game here. We don't need Jahad Campbell to come in here and start day one. We're looking at 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road. He's always looking toward the future while staying in the present. How can I make this team right now better? So yeah, I think he's always got a plan. It's great to see Campbell get signed. You mentioned Makuba.
Do you have any updates, or how do you feel about that whole situation with second round picks and what's going on? I think there's only 1 or 2 second round picks that have signed their deals so far.
Yeah, I think it's 2. I think there's 30 second round picks that haven't been signed. And I think Makuba, he was kind of later, obviously, in the second round. I think he was the last pick of the second round, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think it's going to take some time for them to get to him. Usually it's guys that get picked ahead of somebody to get signed first, so you can kind of see what the slot money is. But I can tell you this, it won't be a language situation in the contract like you're seeing the Bengals and Shamar Stewart go through. I mean, what a mess that is. And we saw Shamar Stewart get mocked to the Eagles, leading up to the draft. There were mock drafts that had the Eagles taking Shamar Stewart, a guy that didn't have a whole lot of college production. He was a kind of a workout warrior at the combine. And, now we're seeing, he's being given advice where, hey, we're not going to accept the contract that has whatever the language is. I'm not even sure what it is, but he's playing hardball with them. And, we don't see that very often because of the way the collective bargaining agreement is written. You're supposed, that took away some of the leverage that these rookies had. So it's going to be an interesting situation. I think Makuba will eventually be signed. Could happen, 24 hours before they report for training camp, or it could happen at any point between now and then. I mean, but Howie does get things done. And, we should appreciate Howie Roseman and even Jeffrey Lurie, obviously the owner, for what they've done for this organization.
Oh, look at you segueing me to sorry, I was ready to wrap this up, but you segued to a quick question right there. I'm sorry.
No
Jeffrey Lurie, man, obviously the donation he made of $50 million. I don't think enough coverage and credit goes to the kind of owner Jeffrey Lurie is outside of the football organization. What he does for the city, for the community, for charities. His never mind. You know what I'm trying to say. His work does not get enough credit for how great of an owner he really is.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, obviously on the field, he's delivered a heck of a lot of playoff wins during his ownership. He had Andy Reid, kind of running the show, a good person who, he turned kind of the reins over. He's won 2 Super Bowls during his stewardship. And then off the field with what he does with the autism, the Eagles Autism Challenge just completed its 8th year. It's raised over $40 million to go toward autism research. And then that huge $50 million donation or gift, whatever you want to call it, to CHOP and Penn Medicine to create the Lurie Autism Institute to continue that type of research and trying to find, a way to handle the autism people that are on the spectrum or even prevent them from getting there is huge. But this autism route for the Lurie family goes way back to the 70s. There's something in Boston where Jeffrey Lurie came from. There's an autism institute up there with one of the hospitals. So this has been kind of his, something near and dear to his heart pretty much his whole life. And now he's really investing millions and millions of dollars into it. And I think it's a fantastic thing.
I think I read in one of the articles covering it that his mother was the first one to start getting the family involved in raising money for autism, which just shows how long and far back this situation goes. Real quick, it's Father's Day weekend, Ed. I know you're another great father out there. What's the Father's Day plans? What are you doing what's getting done for you for Father's Day weekend?
Well, I've got 3 kids. One lives in California, and another one's going to be in Tennessee at this Bonnaroo Arts Festival. I don't know if you've heard of it. I mean, it's all new to me, but she's down there with a girlfriend, but I'm going to have one of my daughters with me. Of course, my wife. I think we're just going to kind of low key it. Probably, go have a meal somewhere. Maybe take in a movie. There's a movie out there.
Come on, watch the carnage of the final round of the US Open.
I hear you, brother. But I probably will catch the back 9 of the leaders on Sunday because I think we're doing like a 1:15 movie. And then, obviously I'll be back sitting on my couch by probably 3:30, and I'll watch the exciting conclusion. I hope it's exciting. I mean, the Masters was great drama. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, certainly I do spend a lot of my Father's Day watching the U.S. Open, and this year probably won't be any different.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy I guess you would say the easy part of the off season for you guys. I mean, I know you got to pump out articles every day and stuff, but you guys get a little bit of a break here for the next 4 weeks or so till the real grind to training camp really kicks off.
Yeah, but I listen, I'm really looking forward to it. Every year I look forward to, training camp and seeing
Absolutely.
how it all plays out. I mean, it's an exciting time. I love training camp maybe more than I like the season, to be honest with you. But yeah, I really look forward to when it opens. July 22nd, I think, is report date. And then the first practice, probably July 23rd. And that's going to be here really before you know it.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Well, Ed, have a great weekend. Thank you very much for your time, and happy Father's Day to you.
Hey, thank you, Phil. I really appreciate it. You have a great weekend too.
Thanks a lot. That was Ed Kracz right there on the I Have News sponsor hotline, guys. Make sure you check out his work on SI.com. Obviously, one of the best beat reporters that covers the Eagles. No frills, no hot takes. Just high quality reporting and great stories and great ideas always from him. So let's recap here, guys. You're watching Trending the AM on the STT Sports Network. Hit that like button, hit that share button, that subscribe button. Adam says we're up to 19 likes, which means we're probably still at 536 subscribers. But like, share, subscribe. We're talking Eagles. We got a poll going. Which Eagles free agent addition will have the biggest impact? Ojulari, Uche, Jackson, or Williams? Ojulari is leading the poll as I expected he would. But Ed Kracz obviously talked a little bit there about Uche and how Lane Johnson and others are very, very high on him, which is interesting. I love how Ed brought up Jordan Davis as a potential leader of this defense, not Jalen Carter. So I want to touch on that. We're obviously talking Phillies. They start a 3-game series against the Blue Jays this weekend. Will they win the series this weekend? That's a question for you. Mike Trout, a lot of rumors that the Philly fans want Mike Trout with the Phillies. I do not. I don't see it. I don't want it. I don't care about it. It's Father's Day weekend. It's a U.S. Open. I got to get it quick. During that interview, I wasn't really paying too much attention. Justin Thomas went from 9 over to 8 over, so he made a birdie somewhere. Looks like Brooks Koepka's still at 3 under par. Let me, I don't even have the U.S. Open scoreboard up here. I got to get the U.S. Open scoreboard back up on my side screen here. Let's see. Brooks still at 3 under. Sung J M down to 1 under. Sam Burns to 2 under today, even par. Rahm's at even par. Hovland even par. Morikawa at even par. Where's Scotty Scheffler? What's he doing on his round? Scotty Scheffler's 1 under at 2 over par. Projected cut line still sitting at 4. I expect that to get to like 6 over par today. Yeah, Ed is the man. Calm, cool, and collected. Always love him. Not sure who. Carter has had a couple issues on the field fighting players. Yeah, Clint Hurt does take care of that. So we're talking lots of different things. It is Father's Day weekend also. And I want to drop a movie thing into the conversation as well. Obviously, we've got Happy Gilmore 2 coming out in a couple weeks. We know. Naked Gun reboot with Liam Neeson is coming out soon. And breaking news yesterday, coming out in a few years. Finally, after 30-plus years, Spaceballs 2 is happening. Did I not even know I needed a Spaceballs 2 till I saw the teaser that Spaceballs 2 is coming out? Crazy. I must have missed it. I was trying to listen to what he was having to say, take notes, and do all these things. I didn't even. Do I need to go through all these comments and try to find your reference? Oh, I didn't even see. Honestly, I didn't even have it starred. Didn't even see it. Sorry, K1. I would have picked up on that one. My apologies. I heard they got the lead. Yeah, I heard even Rick Moranis is coming out of acting retirement this weekend. I don't know what will you get for Father's Day, mister. That's up to your kids. That's not up to me. It's up to your kids. What will you get? Happy Father's Day this weekend to all the dads out there. Dads get to screw on Father's Day. Mother's Day, we go brunches and flowers and gifts and jewelry. Father's Day, you get some steaks and you have to cook them yourself on the grill. That's typically what Father's Day is. Dog dads count 1,000%. It's like dog moms count for Mother's Day. 1,000%, Duck. I got 2 psychotic dogs upstairs. It counts. It 1,000% counts. No doubt about it. Great. I get to pick up crap from. Basically, yeah. That's basically what it is. Let's get the short end of the stick, always. For sure, Doc. No doubt about it. It is what it is. So we're talking all these things. Eagles, Phillies, Mike Trout, the U.S. Open, and so much more. A new bunch of poop bags. Yeah, let me go. I got one for you. All right. My landscaper. And we have a fenced-in backyard. We let the dogs. We don't clean it up all the time. My landscaper came to us and said, please clean up the poop before I mow the lawn. It's got like a zero-turn riding mower. But I guess his assistant, while weed whacking, stepped in it. And was like, you're a landscaper. You walk in mud, dirt, freshly cut grass, and you're worried about a little dog poop on your foot? To me, I thought that was kind of a bold reach. Like, yo, clean up the shit in your yard before I mow it. Like, yo. Or am I wrong in thinking that? I don't know. Oh, I use grocery bags all the time. I don't buy poop bags. Who buys that stuff? Waste of money right there. Kind of felt like that was a little over the top, him asking that. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I am. Again, anybody watching, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Coming up this weekend, there'll be a live video on how you can win this autographed Cooper DeJean, Darius Slay football. The rules will be released on this channel this weekend. I also got an A.J. Brown print that is signed by him. That's going to get added to the raffle as well. Wife buys poop bags. I would just buy a pooper scooper. Plastic bags from the food store. So our hoagie rolls come in bags from the bakery. So those, basically any bag I can come up with, I would never pay for a bag to pick up poop with. But honestly, I don't even care. It's in the yard. Let it fertilize the yard a little bit better. Carter had an incident with the fans and Sirianni, but Sirianni did it first, so I guess it's okay. This is what your issue is with Sirianni? That he shows emotion? I got no issues with Sirianni. And I'll never have any issue with Sirianni because he's won us that Super Bowl. I would buy a Pooper DeJean pooper scooper, a Pooper DeJean. You know, interesting you mentioned Cooper DeJean's name, even though you said Pooper DeJean. We're talking with Ed Kracz about the leaders of this team, or who will be the leader. I was kind of intrigued with the fact that Ed Kracz mentioned Cooper DeJean, although he's only in his second year, could step up to be one of the leaders of this defense. He mentioned Jordan Davis, not Jalen Carter. He mentioned Zach Vaughn. He didn't mention Reed Blankenship, Quinion Mitchell, Nolan Smith. He mentioned Cooper DeJean. Does Cooper DeJean have that leadership mindset already as a second-year player? I mean, it's very possible. Very, very possible. And I thought it was very interesting that that's the name he went to. It is a courtesy. I thought it was weird. I for some reason, I don't know why. Also, maybe also I'm a bias because I'm a little, frustrated with my landscaper at the moment. In general, not doing the best jobs and stuff like that right now. So maybe that's part of the problem. The guys do seem to love Cooper. He's got the personality. You got to have a personality to lead too. You can't be a quiet, like Quinion Mitchell. I mean, it's only been 1 year for Quinion Mitchell as well. But Quinion's a very quiet, shy guy. He seems to lead by his performance, nothing else. So I don't know. It's a very interesting. That was not what I was expecting to hear, from Ed Kracz on the leadership thing. And I love to hear it. Cooper DeJean has charisma to spare. He make One stupid celebration, everyone started doing it. Yeah. I agree. I just wasn't expecting that answer, so to speak. Another thing, I'm looking at the poll right now. We're at 15 votes on the poll, despite having 19 likes on this video. Avery Williams. Avery Williams hasn't practiced yet. We're all, well, at least I'm hyped. If Avery Williams isn't the kick returner and punt returner, if he can't get healthy, who's it going to be? I'm allergic to cats and dogs, so I went to buy a silverback gorilla to guard my house, but they eat. What the hell? Oh, my God. Where did that even come from? I love it. What's up? You're back. You're finally back. Terrence Marshall. What's good? Reality check. You're coming in for the final 25. You missed a great interview with Ed Kracz. A lot of great information. A lot of stuff. I'm going to try to cut up his interview and make multiple short videos out of it. I love his comment about Jalen Hurts, the guy that looks most improved. He yelling players' names on the sideline when the announcers do it. It's like a kid enjoying himself. You got to love it. I'll never get a pet that's bigger than you. Dude, I see videos all the time where people pet tigers and lions and shit like that. Are you psycho? Are you crazy? A wild beast is always going to be a wild beast. Yeah, you're gonna love it. A lot of great information. It came on about the 30-minute mark of the show, 25 minutes, but stick around now. So we got a great poll question going, Reality Check. Which Eagles free agent addition will have the biggest impact this year? Ojulari, Uche, Jackson, or Williams? So vote, comment, let me know. Make sure you hit that like button as well. Yeah, it's a huge poop. Ed knows firsthand and talks to players and see how. Yeah, exactly. Ed gets the details, right? That's what he does. He gets the details and he gives us the details. That's what we got to love. We're also talking. Oh, we're up to 20 likes now. How about that? Victor Hovland heating up. I like to hear that, Steven. I got a bet on him. I forget what did I get him at 55 to 1? I know he was a late add to my card. He's the only guy on the leaderboard right now under par that I've got a bet on. Let me check my fantasy lineups right now. Let's see how we're doing this morning. Let's see how we're doing on the DFS board right now. It wasn't good to start the day, but who is? Let's see. I'm in the cash in a few things. Nothing crazy yet. I would love to get an outright hit here. Would love to have Victor Hovland. I think it's 55 to 1, I think it was. Would love to hit that one. Sam Burns back to even par. Okay. All right. Is the cut line still projected at 4? Let me refresh this, actually. Yeah, still at 4. So right now, there's only 9 guys under par. There's only 17 guys at par or better. Yeah. Let's see what else we got going on here. Let's go down the board here a little bit. I want to see what this other cat's doing. Will Chandler. All right, he leveled out a little bit. Will Chandler start the first 3 holes at, well, he's only 7 holes in. He's 11 over through 7 holes. We're actually on a 50 watch for Will Chandler right now on the front 9. That's how bad his game is at this moment. Seeing some other scores here. Guido, 4 over today, 9 over for the tournament. Justin Thomas is back to 9 over after another bogey. Let's see here. Tony Finau, even par through 2, still at 6 over overall. Minwoo Lee, 1 under today at 6 over. Let's see here. What else we got? Vegas, baby. 1 over today, 5 over overall. Neiman, 5 over, even for the day. That's where we're standing right now. Yeah, that's our leaderboard looking. It's Aziz for you. And that seems to be everybody's answer. That's why it's leading the poll right now, Reality Check. Thing is, after Tuesday's practice, it was Lane Johnson that talked about Uche, not Ojulari. And that's kind of where I sit. It's like, I think Ojulari has the impact. But on the flip side, I like to listen to what the players say. And what the players say, it's Uche. Yeah, it's 55 to 1 that I got. I just had to check in my notes there. It's 55 to 1 is what I got on him. Just a little over $5 bet on him. $5 and change. And the Amazon delivery guy would be terrified. At least they would keep my wife from. That's true. That's true. Your wife would be like, why don't I ever get any of my packages? Well, because the gorilla's outside. The Silverback's outside. No, it won't. Well, she will have. Yeah, exactly. She'll have it delivered somewhere else. I love that Ed Kracz talked about Jalen Hurts and how different he looks this year in spring practice. Because I don't think enough people are talking about the difference in his confidence level. Now, like Ed Kracz said, he will not admit anything to do with the validation of winning the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl MVP. But the fact that Jalen Hurts looks different, more comfortable in his own skin, having Kevin Patullo, for 4 years now, not much change. It's when I talk about Jalen Hurts having a breakout season, he's already one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in football. But he can be even better. And after last year's success, maybe this year is that year where he takes another step forward, where he wins an MVP. Not that always matters. I loved Adam. I agree. It's so great to hear good things about your quarterback. The fact that your Super Bowl MVP quarterback is actually getting better still at this point in his career. No, I don't think Jalen Hurts will smile more. Jalen Hurts is all business. That's all he cares about, business and winning. Had a purpose before we had anything. Ed said Jalen looked bad at OTAs last year, then he balled out. Now he looks great. Well, but he was getting back to the comments where Jalen said after an OTA last year that the offense was 95% new. So that's what he was getting at. It's not new this year. There's some nuances that have changed, but that's what he's getting at more. The fact that he's a step ahead of where he was at this point last year, which might make him even better this year. I like Uche as well. I've seen more of Aziz. I need to study Uche a little more. They said they both were stuck on crappy teams. Uche was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs last year. So that was it. But when Lane Johnson talks about you, Jordan Mailata talks about you, when the offensive line talks about you, not the guy everybody's hyped about, makes me think that there's some positive things that we can get out of Uche. I was ready to do a poll on roster bubble guys. And I was going to put Uche on. Do you secretly follow me on Twitter and I don't know about it? I tweeted out about evolution last night. Let's see if I can find this question. And we'll put it up here on the screen. This picture here. Not that one. This one right here. Let's see if I could do a share screen here. Oops, wrong button. That's my settings button. Present. Share screen. Share. Let's zoom in. You can only pick one movie. What movie would it be? And I answered without hesitation, Evolution. I know there's some great movies here. Mystery Men, Mars Attack, underrated. Evolution is the funniest freaking movie that gets no credit. Oops, which button? I was looking for a different button here. Which layout? There's the layout I'm looking for. Evolution is such an underrated movie. Stars David Duchovny, amongst others. Got an alien takeover in Arizona. Not an alien takeover. Another, I don't even know how to describe it. Head and Shoulders shampoo stops the aliens from taking over the world. It is so funny. If you've seen Evolution, you know what I'm doing there. Will Jalen Hurts throw for over 4,000 yards this season? Probably not, mister, because we still are going to be a run-heavy offense. But he's going to throw for over 3. He was, 2,800 yards last year, 2,900? I could see Jalen Hurts throwing for 3,500 yards. For sure. Hurts is top 5. Yeah. Mystery was good, but not sure it aged well. Who in the hell is Trevor Cohn? I don't know. Who's that? Mars Attacks 2? What? Evolution is so epic. It is one of the funniest comedies that nobody ever talks about. Like, that movie is just straight comedy, and it's beautiful. It's when it's on, that's all I do. When I see the word evolution, I think, never heard of it. Well, go Google it. Go watch it this weekend. Hurts may never have a 4K season. Mid-threes, yeah. If Hurts goes for 3,500 yards, he wins the MVP. Trust me. Uche, Aziz, and Ojomo are African names. Is the NFL going global? Well, the NFL is definitely going global, for sure. Hence why we've got international games all over the world now. The here, birdie, birdie. It's great. I honestly have only seen Mystery Ben once, and it's been a long time. So I don't know if I can answer that. Trevor Cohn is even par. Oh, I have no idea who it is. Hurts was just under 4K 2 years ago. He could hit 4K this year with more balance. I don't know, Tim, and good morning to you, my man. I don't know. I know he almost did in 2022, but Saquon Barkley wasn't there. Now, I expect Saquon Barkley to have less yards. He's not going to go for 2K again. But if, say Saquon rushes for 1,500 or 1,600 yards, that's 400 or 500 more yards. Some of that will go to Will Shipley or A.J. Dillon, but some of that will go to the passing game. But I fully expect them to still be committed to the passing game heavily this year. Evolution is so funny and underrated. David Duchovny's best movie. It might be his best movie. Why is World War... Oh, don't even ask. No. Not going to happen, but sure. Maybe if I remember in 15 minutes, I'll remind me, and I will. Evolution plus a gummy equals a fun time. Yeah, that's all I'll say. Mystery Man is a good single or twice watch, but it's not a must watch if you catch it. Yeah, that's true. I saw it once, and I never felt the need to watch it again. Julianne Moore was kind of hot. Yeah, true. Barkley, 1,500. Dillon, 4. So I don't think A.J. Dillon has 700 yards. No. Hurts goes for 35-4. The issue is if he sits out games at the end of the year. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to sit out at the end of the year because they're going to be battling for the division. I think A.J. Dillon, there's still a question if he makes the roster. Now, I know you had a solid round of OTAs, but there's no real hitting in OTAs. I still got to see if he's healthy enough to even make the roster, Tim, in my opinion. Not Delta 8, though. Yeah, no, never. You know. Extremely hot. What? Yeah, Julian Moore. Yeah, exactly. All right, let me pull that off the screen there. Go back to a regular looking screen here. Final 12 minutes of show. If you haven't already, hit that like button, that share button, and that subscribe button. Please vote on our poll. 16 votes only today, which is crazy because we've had over 20 likes on this video. Ojulari, Uche, Jackson Williams. Who's going to have the biggest impact in 2025 for the Philadelphia Eagles? Everybody assumes the Commanders are falling back. I'm the only one that's willing to say, don't sleep on the Commanders. Don't. I did see the videos of Deebo Samuel looking like, Memphis Grizzly James Harden. Was it Memphis that he went to for like 2 weeks and got fat? He looked like James Harden out there running routes. Got a little extra cushion for the pushing. I don't know who just hit a shot, but he hit some thick shit. The thing with the Commanders is, can the Commanders stay healthy? The Commanders built a team of where the Eagles are one of the youngest teams in football. The Commanders are one of the oldest teams in football. So my questions on the Commanders aren't, are they good or not? It's, can they stay healthy? I'm sure I'll get one of the ref the district guys on here sometime before the start of the season. But that's just my thing. Unfortunately, the Mets and Commanders aren't your dad's fucked up teams. Yeah, I agree. Although I did see my man Pete Alonso injure his own starting pitcher with a high throw to first base yesterday. Dude, I think they said it was just a calf issue. But when I saw it, I'm like, oh, shit, he just buckled his knee and blew out his knee. Commies will be the same as they were last season. They may lose one or two of their close games this season. I think the Commanders and Eagles are both on pace for 11 wins. It's who gets that last win at the end of the year to get it to 12. For fantasy purposes, A.J. Dillon worth drafting if you draft Barkley? No, not at all. If you want to draft, what do they call it, the handcuff? For Barkley, you draft Will Shipley. If Barkley goes down, Will Shipley will be the lead guy. A.J. Dillon was never a lead guy. Daniel Berger with back-to-back Berkey's good for him. I always thought Daniel Berger was going to win a PGA championship. 2021, before he got hurt, he was my pick to win the PGA. A couple years back, Stroud was Daniels and the Texans. See, the thing is, C.J. Stroud's downfall, first off, they still made the playoffs. They still won their division, Tim. I know it's a weak division, but let's not act like C.J. Stroud went from being a rookie of the year to a 4-win team. I think they won 10 or 11 games last year, okay? Secondly, one, if not both of his wide receivers got hurt for the year last year. He had injuries all over the offense. The offensive line was a disaster. So C.J. Stroud didn't have a down year. His team fell apart around him, okay? He still performed pretty solidly. Just so you know, Justin Thomas is not making the cut. He's got about a 15-footer for bogey right now. He's already at +9. So he'll drop him to +10 if he makes it. Maybe +11 if he misses it. Yeah, no to A.J. Dillon. I have zero excitement for A.J. Dillon. Friday with Chris Rock is the funniest movie. How come every time I'm in the kitchen, you in the kitchen eating all the goddamn food? I want some chicken. I want some hog moms. Injuries notwithstanding, I expect Washington to have the better regular season, but the Eagles the better postseason. This is where I'm at. Now, I think the Eagles could have a similar regular season, but I don't expect them to do anything in the postseason, the Commanders. I don't know if they can. Justin Thomas up to 11 over par. Name one position group from the Commanders are better than us. I didn't say they're better than us in any position, but they might be equal to us. The whole Friday series, yeah, the whole Friday series is great. The problem with Washington is zero offensive line depth. Absolutely. I don't agree on them being overrated. No way. Friday is Chris Tucker. Yes. I don't know why I didn't pick up on that. I know it's Chris Tucker. We all know it's Chris Tucker. Anyway, final 5 minutes of the show, guys. What are we going to do this weekend? It is Father's Day. Make sure you take care of all the dads out there. Your dad, take it easy. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy some U.S. Open golf. It's going to rain a lot this weekend, too. It's going to cool off as well. Justin Thomas and Minwoo Lee, both with double bogey. See what John Rahm's line up a long putt. Not sure if it's for birdie or par. It's a birdie. Long birdie putt here on the par 3-6, 20.5 feet. Let's see if John Rahm can do it. He puts the stroke on. It's rolling. It's rolling. It's rolling. Rolling. Oh, and it just falls short on the bottom side. Just curves just bottom right. He almost got a caca. He'll just get a half caca, not a full caca. You ever hear why Chris Tucker didn't do any more of the Friday movies? No, I did not. Anyway, what's the cut line going to be at the U.S. Open? There might be a live stream on U.S. Open Sunday here. Not sure. Not sure if I want to commit to that. Not sure I want to do all that work. But I will do a pre-recorded video this weekend on how you win this autographed football. Okay, Cooper DeJean, Darius Slay, and an autographed A.J. Brown graphic. So make sure you're locked into this YouTube channel. We're going to raise money for Eagles Autism with it. Phil, if Judgment Day happened before next show, it's been real. What's up with that? Because you're talking about Israel and Iran and stuff there. Duck Tucker was getting $20 million for Rush Hour. There's nothing better than Rush Hour movies. Rush Hour movies are so great. You can watch them over and over again. But anyway, guys, I just want to watch more U.S. Open with you guys right now. Wow, I don't know what just happened there. Scotty's hit a ball. They just rolled right off the green into some thick-ass rough. Thick rough. Crazy. That Jordan Spieth. Where's Jordan Spieth at right now? Looks like he's lining up a short putt here. Victor Hovland, second shot. 1 under par. Let's go, Vic. So Friday movies are about the weed smoking, and Tucker didn't want to be a simp for that life. Okay. As long as Bazoon, I don't know where Bazoon hit. I know it was +3 the last I looked at him. Let me see where he's at today. Hold on, I got to see if Spieth makes his bogey putt here first. Line it up. It's a short birdie, bogey putt. And he makes it. He knocks it down. Knocks it down. Bazunut's even par today. 2 over for the tournament through 6 holes. Looks like Bazunut is on pace to make the weekend, but there's a lot of golf still to play, so we shall see. The scripts for Friday sequels were garbage for Suki. He was in rush hour, so he missed the second. Then it became the weed thing. Gotcha. I don't know anything about any of that. Not sure about any of that stuff. But anyway. EOD is not happening. Muslim nations have been attacked. Yeah, look. I don't want to get into that. I turned on CNN last night when I got home, not to get political at the end. Wanting to learn and see what's going on this weekend with all the protests. Philadelphia, if you're in the Philadelphia area, be careful. There's going to be a lot of people in Philadelphia this weekend for protests. Be safe if you're in that area. So that's why I turned on the news looking for information on, and obviously there's stuff going on with Israel and Iran. And that's what was dominating CNN last night. Tucker's agent forgot to tell him the toothpaste was out. The tube, Tuck, what? Ojulari, 7+ sacks this season, mark it down if healthy. Well, you missed Ed Kracz earlier, Tim. And Ed Kratz's bold prediction wasn't Ojulari 7+ sacks. It was Alex Hunt, double-digit sacks. Interesting. Alex Hunt, different. It was who he's hyped for. Could I go pro golfing if I practiced? No, not now. Between my leg injury and my back, no way I could do it. Now, when I first picked up golf and then got my first lesson and I started shooting, like I was playing back in my early 20s, playing once a week, sometimes twice a week. And very quickly I was able to take my score from 110 to like 90. But then I just, never was able to get it under 90. I've never broken 90. But if I took it seriously and practiced and had a coach, yeah, I understand the game of golf. I can see somebody else's swing and know exactly what they're doing wrong. I know what I do wrong now. I just can't fix it because of health issues. Or injury issues. I can't move my hips. I can't generate anything from my legs. My back falls apart. I'm a 12-hole golfer. But when I was in my early 20s, if I had a coach that was working on my swing daily, absolutely. I had the power and I had the knowledge. I just didn't have the time. Yeah, I would recommend everybody stay out of Center City. I'll agree with Hunt getting 10+ sacks easily. See, I was going to say, Nolan Smith. But there's a chance Hunt leads this team in sacks. We're going to make that the poll question on Monday. Most sacks 2025. That will be the poll question on Monday on this show. Grok, why don't Phil have a lot of things? What? If you saw Phil swing, you would know that no. That is not what my swing looked like 20 years ago, just so you know. Not even close to what my swing looked like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I think you're both wrong now. I'm shooting for the moon here. I'm saying I'm sorry, but Aziz is having 13+ sacks. Whoa! Good thing I didn't have coffee in my mouth. Wow. Now, I said reality check like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I predicted he'd be third on this team in sacks. What that number was, I don't know. But 13th? Either he becomes the greatest free agent signing of all time on a 1-year prove-it deal, or something bad happens with Nolan Smith and Alex Hunt. This defense will be better than last year. I think they have the potential to eventually be that. I think there'll be some hiccups early in the season, Tim. A lot of new guys learn that Vic Fangio system. Look, last year, first 4 weeks was a little tough. Then week 6, the defense started turning things around. And I really think that's going to be something similar this year. Slow start that gets better. Whatever. Guys, we're getting close to the end here. Caca. Warning time. Caca. That'll be my warning signal that the wrap-up is starting. Caca. The wrap-up is starting. You could tell his playing leg is weak, and he has a major back issue from watching his backswing. I have major limitations. But I will say this, Doc. what you didn't see on that, because that was my 18th hole in that swing that I had played, so I was a little exhausted. I've been tweaking my backswing. And the tweaking on my backswing, while it makes it look worse, also helps me prolong the pain from setting in. Taking a shorter backswing, which is helping me not start to feel sore by hole 12 or 13, but be sore at hole 16 or 17. So I still got to work on that, though. The problem is, when you swing one way for 20 years and you try to tweak it, it takes a lot of time. And I've only played 3 rounds of golf this year. It takes a lot of time to break those habits. Who lives close enough to Chester County? I would love to put a trending in the AM round of golf together. 3 of you want to come join me on a Sunday morning on a golf course, Downingtown Country Club, Moccasin Run, anywhere. Wyncote. Who would be in for that? Who wants to play a round of golf with me? I mean, I'm not buying for everybody, but I'll buy the first round of beers for everybody after the round. We can put together 2 foursomes. Only some of you would get to play with me, but who would want to be interested in playing, say, at Downingtown Country Club or Moccasin Run? Or I could mention another course, who knows? Rock Manor in Delaware, maybe a little easier for everybody right off of 95. Who's interested in a trending in the AM Sunday golf outing? That's a question. If this defense isn't better than last year, we will be locked for the Super Bowl. Yeah. He had 6 sacks at 10 games last year. He missed. The thing is health. It's all about health. And what part of the rotation is going to be? Thank you very much, Adam. You've been very generous to me today, as always. If Jalen Hunt has a breakout season, who do you prioritize re-signing? Nolan? Well, you got to prioritize re-signing both. You still got a little bit more time on Jalen Hunt. So you re-sign Nolan Smith this year, and then next year, Jalen Hunt. Week 6, they let the defense loose. It's also when Cooper DeJean came. I could tell you were taking 3/4 to 2/3. Yes, I used to take a big backswing. Now I'm kind of shortening it. The goal is to take about a 2/3 of a backswing. When you see the 3/4, it's me almost resorting back to my old swing. KC's O-line got its pants pulled down. Yes, swing. I will play. Look, I think it's an idea. Yeah, I mean, doesn't mean you can't try. Doesn't mean you can't play. About an hour away. I'm thinking about it. I think we're going to try to organize something here. I don't know how I would organize that because you're all on different platforms. I'm thinking about it. I think a Sunday, trending in the AM, bowling or hoops will get me out. I can't play hoops anymore. Bowling, I can get behind a bowling outing for sure. If I'm golfing at a country club, I'm only drinking expensive wine. Well, then you're on your own on that one. Eagles have opened their cap up for when they have to sign everyone. Absolutely. I don't worry about signing or retaining anyone, Tim. All right, guys. Caca. We're into overtime. Caca. I'm already turning the TV off here. I got to wrap this up. I got to get to work. It's Friday in the pizza business. So, busy day for me. I could get on a par 5 and 2. I could drive Jesus, should be on par. Or you should on tour. I figured out my putting. My putting's actually not a weakness anymore. Again, encourage people to see me have a good swing and not liking doing it. That's a shame. Everybody, we got to wrap this up. We'll be back Monday with more trending in the AM. Maybe a show on Sunday. We're not sure. We'll see what happens. Everybody have a great weekend. I'll be there. Be there all day. Open and close today and tomorrow, guys. Fox's Pizza, Cannon Square. Come on out and say hello. That's right. Fox's Pizza Den. Come on out and say hello. Open and close today and tomorrow. You have a great weekend as well, Tim. Guys, with that being said, everybody have a great weekend. If you watch on replay, like, share, subscribe. Go Birds! And bubbles up.